by His Holiness Sachinandana Swami. We are on the eighth offense. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Two, to consider the names of the demigods like Shiva or Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Three, to disobey the orders of spiritual master. Four, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Five, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination or exaggeration. Six, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seven, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. And offense, um, today's offense means not that we have to start committing. That is the point. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities often in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma-Kanda. So this is the eighth offense, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma-Kanda, page number 75. For those who have this book, can refer if they want to follow. Otherwise, you can just listen. Dharma Vratatyaha Udhadi Sarva Shubha Kriya Samyam. What is the difference between chanting the holy name and pious activities? The holy name is directly Krishna. The way and the goal are identical. The holy name is a process and simultaneously the goal. It is full of spiritual bliss and bestows highest perfection. Paragraph. As for ordinary pious activities, such as altruistic work, fire sacrifice, yoga, purifying baths at holy places, varnashrama duties, demigod worship, austerities, etc. The means or the way and the goal have to be distinguished. Such actions are solely material altogether. Also, such actions are solely material, although they are good material activities and bring a good material goal. But how can they help to attain a spiritual goal? Chanting on the other side is already the goal. It is Krishna himself. One must definitely act in the mode of goodness to be elevated gradually, but ultimately one gives up all material activities, good and bad, and acts only for Krishna's pleasure. Chanting, however, is never to be given up, not on the conditioned platform, not in the liberated state. Next paragraph, title, subtitle is the original form of the holy name. No activity can be compared with chanting the holy name. The Supreme Lord is the transcendental Son. His divine form is fully spiritual. All his deity forms are absolute, just like his name, his abode, and his pastimes. Unlike objects made of inert matter, which are separate from their names, the holy name is non-different from Krishna. The holy name chanted by a pure devotee descends directly from the spiritual world Goloka Vrindavan. It emanates directly from his soul, permeates his entire body, and dances on the tip of his tongue. One who chants like this is actually chanting the name, whereas he who nourishes a material name, whereas he who nourishes a material concept of the holy name is lost. Hmm. The next session, how can the eighth offense be rectified? So in this two session, the glories of chanting has been explained, how the goal, the means and the goal are one and the same, and how we hear from those who are chanting purely is helpful for us. Um, and then, if at all we have committed any offenses to this holy name, considering the holy name to be some ritualistic activities, like how we do any other puja, the pujas are there to give us some material benefits. Therefore, if one is thinking chanting is also like that, then that is an offense. Therefore, if anyone's thought like that, how to rectify that is the last part of this session. How can the eighth offense be rectified? If one commits this offense, It is advisable to go to the Vaishnavas and obtain Sambandha Jnana in order to remove one's ignorance. One should avoid this mistake in the future and should start to chant seriously. After having spoken about the eighth offense, Haridas Thakur addressed the following prayer to Lord Chaitanya. Here is a prayer. My dear Lord, my thoughts and my intellect are thoroughly mundane. Therefore, I simply mouth the holy name of the Lord. I am too unfortunate to experience the transcendental touchstone qualities of the holy name. O Lord, I beg you to please appear as the holy name and dance on my tongue. I fall at your lotus feet and pray. If you like, you can keep me in this material world and deprive me of the spiritual sky. Whatever you desire, you are free to fulfill. But please let me taste the divine nectar of Krishna's holy name. You are incarnated amongst the Jivas to distribute the holy name. So kindly also consider me an insignificant Jiva. I am a fallen soul, and you are the savior of the fallen. Let this be our relationship, O Savior. On the strength of this relationship, I am begging from you the nectar of the holy name. That ends the prayer, and concluding line is by cultivating such a humble, eager attitude, following in the footsteps of the Namacharya, the eighth offense can surely be avoided. That ends the eighth offense, and then two more offense to go that we can continue next. Let's see if there is any discussions, questions, sharing. Now,
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
yes,
Prabhu, this may not be directly related to today's topic, but is it okay to ask this question?
yeah, yeah.
So, Prabhu, you mentioned when you're doing the Tiruppavai sessions that one should recite Tiruppavai every day. If not the whole 30 pastorams, at least one of them. So, Prabhu, I had this general question in this regard. Um, so, I guess chanting 16 rounds, that's the first priority for us. And if then after that, if we have time, we can recite other things. And among other things, there are many things that one could do. There are many stotras. So if you have limited time, then what should we give priority to? For example, I didn't know about the Tiruppavai for a long time because I was not exposed to that particular, the particular stotram because it's from in a different language or from a different community and so on. So I have been exposed to some other stotras. If I've been reciting those, um, should I change that and start reciting Tiruppavai, for instance? Or yeah, so in general, the question is, what is the priority for the stotras once we finish doing our daily chanting?
Okay. So, in our teachings, Tirupavai is not part of what has been taught to us. Um, Prabhupada is not given, and like how Bhagavatam, there are many stotras are there. Gajendra Moksha and Venu Gita and Gita, Gopi Gita, and many stotrams are there. Narayana Kavacham, many things are there from Bhagavatam. So I think uh, what we can do is it doesn't mean that because it's not there we cannot adapt, we cannot follow, we cannot practice and chant. It's always good. These things are really very good, as you know, as you heard Tripavi. It's really good. So if you have time, you can add on those things to your list of recitation. Um, but then priority is, as you said correctly, chanting is the priority because the essence of what told in Tirupavai is already there in chanting. That's why we are chanting to request the Lord to engage us in His devotional service, and the essence of Tirupavai is also the same. But since we heard the details of Tirupavai, it gives a mood for us to enrich our chanting. So adding Tirupavai also is nice. if not the entire thing. One or two slokas, pasrams are very nice. The way that usually is been done is to chant every stotram and pasrams, and along with chanting 16 rounds, it'll be too much. So therefore, we chant 16 rounds, and what we can do is we can schedule our practice of stotrams, including Tiruppavai, on a roster basis. So Monday, Gajendra Moksha, and Tuesday, Sishtashtakam, Wednesday, Jagannath Ashtakam, and Thursday, Krishna Ashtakam. Like we can go, or Bhagavatam, from Bhagavatam, some stotra. So on a rotation basis, you do it on a rotation basis, not that. Uh, it has to be a repetition in such a way we can also, it also becomes our we can memorize those things, not that only once in a year we chant one. Now make a program in such a way it comes on a rotation basis, so it becomes a practice and we can memorize those also. So that is what I try to do also. I try to do on, put a schedule on Monday, this one I do, and on a rotation comes again after 1 week or 2 weeks, another thing. So until you get familiarized, so you can shift that one to a different stotra after some period. When you get familiarized with that one, then change it to something, even Rukmini Sandeshaka, for example. You can add that one also to your list. So these are all beautiful to start putting into a schedule and chant these stotras, including Tiruppavai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Sorry. Yeah, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So I have one question related to today's reading, like on the eighth point. Yeah, chanting holy name definitely cannot be considered as a ritual activity. But my question is, still it cleanses one's heart and all, right? So is it okay to think that way, like, or do we have to chant without any expectation at all? Like, I mean, even about thinking about one's cleansing one heart and in that aspect as well.
No, we definitely, the whole purpose of what we are reading here, understand that power of chanting is going to cleanse our consciousness, right? We definitely want to make sure that that is important thing of why we are chanting. So there's nothing wrong in doing that one, thinking in that way, because we want to get our thoughts out, all the bad thoughts out. So chanting is helping. And once that bad thoughts are gone, naturally our desire for chanting mood will change. In a sense, I'm not expecting any of these things as a byproduct of chanting. Rather, chanting itself gives me so much joy because Krishna's names. So that mood, that things are different, altogether different. That changes. But then initially, yes, we have to know that it is by chanting, it's going to help me to cleanse my heart, my consciousness, my thoughts. So yeah, it definitely is good.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
No, unless and until we know the what is the result that's going to give, then it's not going to be that much of connection to us. So the phalam means the end result. What is the end result? I don't remember, if you remember Tiruppavai, I gave an example in that where a person goes and reaches one devotee, gives a first-hand information of what all he has to do every day, and then he goes to another Prabhuji, and that devotee tells, what you're going to get as Vaikunta when you go to Vaikunta, and he gets got impressed so much, and he said, I am ready to do anything that you want me to do. Tell me, if that place is so great, then I will start doing anything for my life. You remember that one?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
So these are benefits. The benefits we need to know. Definitely, we need to know the chanting benefits. Going to cleanse our heart. It gives a taste of Krishna. All those are benefits. So we can think about it. That's not at all a thing. Then our chanting becomes um, more effective.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, 546. Any other questions or realizations? If there is none, then we are going to continue chanting till 6 o'clock. Okay, I guess there's no further questions today.
Prabhu, I have one question, Prabhu.
Okay.
Uh, Particularly like this, I think Hare Krishna we can chant anytime. However, like this Tiruppavai, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam can chant at any stage. I mean, at any time. Like particularly, I'm asking related to like people says that if any relative or anyone died, that something 11 days we have something where we cannot do any activity, be reading or need to come to temple. Similarly, if women in some 5 days period where we cannot do so and so things, we should not come to temple and all this will be there, right, Prabhu? So uh, can you explain little bit on those, Prabhu?
Okay, number one is that Um, these are some personal practices that one may do, but in our movement, Prabhupada has not set any of those type of standards where you stop coming and it's not been practiced over here. But then if that's something that you practice, you want to make sure your tradition, whatever tradition you're following, you want to do, practice that one. You're most welcome to do that one, practice that one. The reason behind why there are some time has been given, you should not go to temple for 11 days until you finish a shanti, that is 13th day, is just because the mood of that person, the family member, is not conducive to perform devotional service. It's morning period, not morning, morning period. But they'll be sad and they'll be crying. And it's said that when you come to the temple, you should not be crying, whatever the case may be. Out of love for Krishna, you're crying. That's a different thing when you see the deities. But then in the temple, we should not be crying and all those things. Therefore, the period is given. You just a rest period has been given for this many days. You don't come to the temple. When things are over, when Shanti Puja is done, that means after that you should not be crying. You're done. There's no need for to cry. When we cry, you're holding back the Atma. You're just more getting that Atma attached to a family. They're not going to depart otherwise. You're sending them off happily to a destination wherever they have to go. Therefore, for that reason, it is said that you should don't go to the temple. But what people wrongly understood is you should never go to the temple because what? But this is the main reason. This is the main reason. And also because you have some connection with that particular soul, you have to do certain things on a daily basis. Please understand, this is important. Not coming to the temple and not doing anything for 11 days or 13 days, whatever your system is no use. Every single day we have to do certain pujas and certain things for the departed Atma. If you're not doing that, simply staying at the home and keep crying, then there's no point. You'd rather come to the temple and do this, whatever service you're doing. But many people wrongly understood this whole thing and they don't even go to temple for 1 year. The idea you don't go to temple for 1 year is just because every single day the son or the family member of the departed family, they have to do Dadyadaranam, means they have to serve the devotees by offering some prasadam on a daily basis for 365 days. Every day they have committed to do that. I'm going to offer to a Vaishnava, to a devotee, every single day. Therefore, taking out of that one and going to the temple and taking up other things is going to jeopardize their service to Vaishnava at home. For this reason, they don't come to the temple. Now, what happened is that all changed during 1 year. You should never go to the temple. Well, are you serving the devotees on a daily basis that you're not going to the temple? No. Then you go to the temple. So all the things have changed over the period of the time, wrongly taken into consideration. So that is not right. So that's the point. If the service has been given, you give the priority to the service. And if there is a asaucham period, the period of contamination for whoever depart, again, it depends on your relationship with that person. The days of asaucham period, the contaminated period, varies. It's not by default for everyone who passes in your family, your in-laws pass, your this one pass, that one pass. Not that for everyone you have to be away for 11, 13 days. It's not so. It depends on the relation. It's all changes. It varies. So some people wrongly think that it's a cookie cutter that everyone 11 days they should not go to the temple. It's not so. I don't know if I was right. I answered your question. You get it, Shanta Mataji?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Because it is, yeah, what I understood is it's all the mood and the actual things made for like uh, giving for other services like Vaishnava services. That's where we should not go to temple. But yeah, it's wrongly made that okay, we should not go to temple. We should not do anything. What about reading scriptures and Tiruppavai and all these? Can we read, Prabhu? Of course, I'm asking maybe same question, similar question, but yeah.
Definitely you can hear and definitely you can read Mahabharatam, Ramayanam, Srimad Bhagavatam, but then going into the Vedic learnings or readings, it's not allowed during that period. Yes, which are Panchamo Vedaha. Mahabharatam is Panchamo Vedaha, and Ramayanam is as good as Vedas. Um, Veda Vede Pare Pumse Jate Dasaratmaje Veda Prachata Dasita Sakshat Ramayanatmataha Manaha. Therefore, Vedas descended as Ramayana. We can read Ramayana, we can read Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is very much recommended, especially on these days. Um, Bhagavatam, especially if anyone passes away, uh, reading for 7 days on a daily basis. I did at my house myself with uh, my family. Those are all very good.
Sure, Prabhu. What about women condition, Prabhu? Normally, people also says it's not come to temple and all that.
It is. This is where it just gets a little tricky. Um, but well, practice what has been told by your seniors and whoever is guiding you, because this is being an open form is just little hard for to tell one answer for everyone. Just like me, it's just difficult to tell certain things on this one. Uh, we can take this offline.
Sure, Prabhu. Because generally, people have lot of things. That's what I ask. Sure, Prabhu.
Yeah, this is a touchy thing, but to be very plain, let's keep it simple. Um, you have during a time of 3 days or 5 days, you don't get engaged. Okay, you don't get engaged in directly into services. You just have to come, you come to the temple, but don't get into touching of the paraphernalias of the deities or serving prasadam or any of those things. If you have to come to temple, you just come to the temple and be there and go, but don't get into any of those actual services. This is where it may get sensitive when I say these things, but that's what I would recommend.
Sure.
Someone many years back, someone was saying that they didn't like when certain things are said, why you have to consider untouchable or contaminated women are being treated like it may get into too many complications. But here is the thing, what Shastra says, if you can follow, it pleases Krishna. um, but if you want to go bypass the Shastras and try to do things, then it's Krishna is telling, well, these are the days where you can take rest, really take rest, because the body goes through some changes once in a month for women. And that time you got to pretty much take rest and relax, so you don't get into any fire activities. You don't deal with fire. You don't cook. You don't do this. Again, this may bring up another choice. What in case my family member doesn't know to cook? My husband doesn't know. I have to only cook. This is why it's just an individual based questions rather than making it more wide open and me giving me some suggestions here, but I'm just telling what is there in the Shastras. Shastra says during the 3 days, during the 5 days, whatever the count is you want to practice, that days you pretty much don't do any activities other than simply chanting and hearing to lectures. That's all you have to do. But you don't get into the activities of kitchen. Please mute. I don't know why I'm getting an echo. Can you mute yourself, Shant? Yeah, thank you. So you don't get into any physical services that may you have to do physically on something. Don't do those things. You come, participate, and just go. That much is good enough. But engaging yourself in those things is not good. And it's definitely not in kitchen. Definitely not in kitchen. One should not enter the kitchen during that time at all, period. That I can tell strongly without any hesitation. You should never enter the kitchen during that time.
Thank you, Prabhu. I asked these questions to understand Shastric reference and the internal meaning only, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, because this is the thing is that because we are more of not local, we are international society. It just these sort of questions uh, triggers a lot of further questions and challenges. But if you want to follow the Vedic system, if you want to follow the Vedic system, then the Vedic system clearly says one should avoid any interaction, any dealings, anything, especially to do with touching the deities, touching the paraphernalias of deities, cooking, fire activities. Fire means cooking things, and they should keep away from any of these things. Again, if anyone's having a particular instruction from their guru, and please follow that one. Don't blame me. Don't tell me anything. I told this thing, and don't go and again check with your mentor or your gurus. Lal Gopal said this one, and it's totally different than what you said. Please don't put me into problems. So whatever you are practicing according to your mentor or your teacher or your guru, if that is what you want to follow, please follow. If this is what I just answered for the question. That's all. You may hear differently from some other person. Um, do not come back and check with me why that Prabhu said this one. I'm not going to get into that conflicts or arguments. I just said what's there in the scriptures. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Is it going to be a similar question?
No, Prabhu. No. Yeah.
Thank you.
Quickly have some things that we follow at home, and I don't want to get confused with that. Yeah. Actually, Prabhu, like this is Prabhuji's question. Like my Prabhuji has a question regarding like reading scriptures during those 11 days or some amount of days that we do. Like, are there any prescribed, like we heard like reading these chapters of Bhagavad Gita or whole Bhagavad Gita is good if someone like body passed away. Like, do we have any like special chapters that we need to do, Prabhu?
Yeah,
Because
you can do, you can do second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, seventh chapter of Bhaggavad Gita, 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. These are all very good chapters to recite on when someone passes away. These are the nice chapters to recite on those days.
Yes, Prabhu. Any chapters in Bhagavatam, Prabhu? Any canto or chapters?
Bhagavatam is nectar. You just have to, especially you read the chapters on Parikshit Maharaj thing away. That is very good. Um, um, yeah, that's the main thing that you can read those chapters is very good.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, anything last question before we can sign off? Okay, thank you all very much. We'll meet again tomorrow.